Welcome back to Universe. I'm Andrew, and today I'm playing Apothecaria solo potion making RPG. This is session 5. We're still in spring. This will be week 7. So if you want to catch up, there's a link in the description to the playlists. But either way, you're welcome to join me. Got my deck unmodified from last time. I've also saved up 106 silver. I actually want to spend a bunch of that now. 50, 70, 90, 100. Oh no, I have 108. Yeah, so 8 left over. And with 100 silver, I'm gonna get my magic wand. Magic wand says it allows for the collection of certain magic reagents. As an example, in the Glimmerwood Grove, there are Whispers of a Cat, which are magic, and they have a forage value of 6 in the forest, and they require a wand to collect. So I haven't been able to get them so far, but they can be added raw for Parasite and Sleep. And if you know me, you know my familiar Fizzy the Frog can secrete a carbonated dark water reagent, which adds sweetness to my brews, making them worth more money, but also adding sleep. So I need a regular way to cure sleep, which has been pretty hard to come by. Until now, I've got a wand, so hopefully the Whisper of the Cat will come to my rescue. I think there's another one in here that also cures sleep and also requires a wand. And for any of you keeping track, the Wigfish in Meltwater Loch also can cure sleep, but it can only be foraged once per season, and then it goes up by 10. And I actually harvested this in my first session, so the Wigfish has been out of commission, preparing its new wig for summer. Yeah, forage value of 13 is just too much. Yeah, the Moonbreaker Mountains has an Innocent Suffering, also can cure sleep, also requires a wand. So I've never actually gone to Hyrenic. People come to me from there, although back in my backstory, I think it turns out I was born there, so I haven't been there since I was a little kid. But in the scope of Apothecaria, I have not gone to Hyrenic. There are some special actions you can do, like in your downtime. You can visit the Copper Fox Tavern to hire an adventurer. They cost 10 silver and can be used to negate an event. But I'm not a big fan of spending silver to negate events. Just let the events happen. I mean, do they stay with you like forever until you've consumed their usage? I don't know. The Lunar Tower, you can seek to attune your equipment and have better luck at finding the reagents you seek. Draw a card and gain foraging points equal to half its value. So you have to spend a time to move there, and then you'd gain a few foraging points. That's not awful. Bits and Bobs decreases the timer by 1 to have the friendly shopkeep check their reagent collection. Draw 3 cards and choose 3 reagents equal to their value. If you want them, pay 2 silver times their highest forage value. So kind of expensive way to get some reagent options. And the Ritual Circle lets you decrease the timer by 1 and sacrifice reagents of a low value to create one of higher value. The sacrifice reagents combined values must be equal to or greater than the created reagent. And you can do that once per ailment. So I guess if you were able to collect some small reagents, you could turn them into a big one. I don't know if these are like power gaming options or if they're supposed to be thematic options, but I haven't done any yet, and I'm not necessarily planning to. There's also this village event table, and I knew there must be some way to forage in the village, and I think I figured out basically whenever you begin a forage, you can go to the Glimmerwood Grove, Moonbreaker Mountain, Meltwater Loch, or Heroes Hollow initially for free. You can't go to the village or the special locations right off the bat, but you can spend a time to move to any location, including, for me, the Strange, because that portal's been opened, or the village for anybody. I just haven't done that yet. But there's not a separate page spread for the village, but there are some reagents that list a village foraging value. For example, dark water says 13, so it's not a great place to look for dark water. But that Whispers of a Cat actually has a village forage value of 2, rather than the forest at 6. So it's actually a lot easier to find in the village. So that might be something I do, and then we would be checking the village event table for what kind of crazy stuff happens for us to journal about. So anyway, let's get started and see who our first customer is today here for week 7. So I'm going to draw 1 card. We got a 9. My reputation is still 9. It needs to be 11 for me to advance to intermediate. So I'm still going to be checking the novice table with that 9. And it is a magnetic thumb caused by having too much iron in one's diet. The afflicted hands attract metal. Not so bad for painters. A death sentence for builders and bakers. So maybe our customer is a builder or a baker. It's going to need a reagents that can cure pain and blood issues. And as always, let's start by getting to know our customer. Get Table Fables 2 has the NPC generator I've been using with some modifications, such as my modified gender role. 1 through 4 is male, 5 through 8 female, 9 or 10 non-binary, 3 is a male. Age is old. What about, do I want this to be a human? Is this someone from High Rannoch? Again, I'm not wanting to roll on this race table and make human equally likely as dragonkin, for example. Maybe I'll check their job first. And then the occupation table with a D20 19, is there a page? I should have seen that written all over their face. So a page being someone who is training as a knight, except I've established that he is old. Usually a page would be a younger person, a squire. So maybe he's been a page for a long time and just never was able to successfully transition to knighthood. And maybe that's because of this affliction. Let me roll for his attitude. A 4 is indifferent. Interesting. I have a hunch. Let me roll on romantic status. 2 is single. So that didn't work out. I mean, I could just say one thing or the other, but I'm thinking that he's been a page forever. The fact that he's indifferent makes me think he doesn't care that he's been a page forever. He doesn't necessarily want to become a knight. He's happy to continue being a page. Part of the reason he's never been able to advance is there's some kind of weird clumsiness going out with him. And maybe he's been plagued by this magnetic thumb for basically his whole life, which you didn't necessarily know about, but it kind of manifested as this weird clumsiness with weapons and armor and things, and he never just was able to make it. And he would be happy to live the rest of his life this way, but somebody is pushing him to change it. Somebody else is the catalyst, forcing him to come to Selwyn and ask for a remedy. Someone else probably diagnosed him and was like, hey, what, you need to fix that. And he's like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, no, you have to do it. That's why I rolled for his romantic status. Maybe it was a wife who was forcing him into that. But if he's single, who could it be? Maybe that person is here with him now. So he's indifferent about his own plight, but someone else forcing him. You know what? I'm just going to say that it is the knight he's training under. He's probably younger than he is. Maybe he's about 50 years old and he's training under a knight who's like 35. Obviously, he hasn't been under that knight the whole time. As a page who's older, he's moved around. But this 35-year-old, strong, rugged knight identified the problem with his page and is like, you've got to get that taken care of. And maybe he even wants to try to get his page to finally ascend to knighthood. His page is like, I don't care. But his knight is making him do it. So here they are. So again, I'm going to roll for some names. Let's roll our afflicted guy here first on my syllables chart. A D100 and a D6. D100 is 48, which is Cain. A 1 on the D6 means we roll for another syllable. 39 is his. A 5 on the D6 plus the 1 established syllable makes 6, which means that was the final syllable. So Cain, his. Cain is, or his Cain? Kind of like his Cain. His Cain, the 50-year-old page with magnetic thumb, too clumsy to be a knight. And then his, I don't know what they call it, his patron knight, the knight he works for, his boss. His name, 86 is Thay, and a 1, so we roll again. 41 if. 4 plus 1 is 5, roll again. 39 his again. 1 plus 2 is 3, roll again. Thayif his. 12 and a 4 plus 3 is 7, so we stop. A's. I'm going to make that a first name and a last name. His A's or his A's Thayif. And there's only one matching syllable, but the HIZ, his syllable, overlapped between the two characters, which I'm going to use that as confirmation of another hunch, which is that this knight is actually the son of his Cain. So maybe it's his A's Thayef and his Cain Thayef. I'm just going to adjust his age to 55. So he probably had his A's when he was 20. Now his son has grown up to become a knight. He was appointed to be the knight over his, or to have his own father as his page. And he was like, this is weird and embarrassing. Dad, we got to figure this out. Whatever's wrong with you. And here they are. So let me research. What do we need to cure pain and blood? This magnetic thumb ailment doesn't have any kind of timer, so I'm going to use the default full week timer of 13 time. So put that there. And I think I'm making 3 stops. So I get my first move for free, and I'm going to go to Meltwater Lock, and I'm going to look for a slime shell. It has a lock forge value of 4. -2 in summer, +2 in winter, but we're in spring. Found in shallow waters and rock pools, these fist-sized clams produce a handy slime that kills parasites and fights infection, keeping the frail mollusk safe and sound. Slime can be added raw for parasite infection and blood. So we need it for the blood, the lock value of 4. So we need a 4 on this card here, which is a queen. So we got that, but that triggers a queen event for the meltwater lock, which says a bottle washes ashore just ahead of you. It looks ancient, but the message inside seems only recently written, and even more strangely gives instructions on how to reply. Simply toss it back into the lock. What does it say? How do you respond? Each time you get this result, write a letter from your mysterious friend. All right, what is this letter about? Oh, this says ocean events and encounters. Maybe I can turn that into a letter from this mysterious letter writer. D20 is a 17, which says a number of crew members fall ill. The party must quickly learn how to take their places. So maybe this person was on a boat, maybe they're not a sailor, but because a bunch of the crew went ill, this person took their place and is now on a boat, and they're working on this ship. Maybe they ended up, that just turned into their life. They've been there for several months, maybe it's a few years now at this point, but they tell the story in this letter of the time when a bunch of the crew got sick and they transitioned from their previous life to their current one. In fact, let's roll what was their previous life. I can roll on the occupation table, and they used to be a soldier. Maybe this was a ship transporting military people, maybe even across the lock here. And I mean, it's not a huge body of water. It's also not tiny, but maybe they, instead of traveling just across here to the west, maybe they were actually traveling south down to where the lock meets the sea and on some kind of expedition from Hyrenic, and they ended up just becoming a sailor permanently, and now this ship is on some kind of journey, but they've learned some kind of magic that lets them send this bottle back and forth. So we got another pen pal. We have a pen pal in the strange, and now one in the ocean. But we'll write back. Selwyn will write her story about her journey from just growing up, learning about witchy things, and now having this responsibility of replacing this old witch, just like that person had to replacing a sailor. So we'll see if that comes back up. But for now, we got the slime shell, which will deal with the blood. Now we need to deal with the pain. Also, finding that one reagent took 1 time. We got 12 left for the week. And for pain, I'm going to go to Moonbreaker Mountain and try to find a milkstone. Oh, it requires a wand, but I have a wand. That's handy. Can be boiled for teeth and pain, a popular cure for giant babies who have started teething. Unfortunately, not so easy for the rest of us to obtain without certain magical advantages. And in the mountain, it has a forage value of just 1. So that should be super easy. I do need to spend 1 time to move locations, flip a card. An 8 is 1 or more. We just needed an ace. Any card would do it. And then let's resolve an 8 in Moonbreaker Mountain. It says you stop at the base camp that hikers and adventurers often use. You find that there's a group that have just come back from Heroes Hollow. You may ask a question about adventuring and write their answer. After they leave, you notice they left a reagent. Draw a card and treat it as a dungeon reagent of the same value. I think I'm going to ask them the thing I'm most curious about, because Maya Darkeye, the Lord of the Dungeon, she's been treating us very kindly. And I think Selwyn is a bit suspicious of that, so she's going to ask them if Maya Darkeye is friendly to them as well. Is she a friendly person to everybody, or is this some kind of special thing? And I'm just going to use the NPC generator attitude just to roll what is Maya Darkeye's relationship to these other random dungeon visitors. This is just a D6. A 1 is friendly, so she's friendly to them as well. She's friendly to everybody, apparently. And then they leave a reagent, which is a 3 value in the dungeon. Heroes Hollow. There's actually no 3, so I think we just probably don't get anything. I mean, there's 2 and there's 4. Oh no, there's not even 4. Oh yeah, there's a 4, there's 2s, but no 3, so I guess we don't get anything. Whatever they left behind is just too burned up to function. So now I have the reagents I need, but as always, I prefer to add Fizzy's dark water secretion to make some dark water delight, but that causes sleep, so I need to be able to cure the sleep, so I need to find probably the Whisper of a Cat now that I have a wand, and it's easiest to find in the village where I haven't been before. So again, I'm going to spend a time for the region I just found, and then another one to travel to the village for the first time. And this is in the village, it has a forage value of just 2. So it's a little bit weird the way this is laid out, but just in case you're confused looking at the Glimmerwood Grove spread and wondering why I'm foraging in the village. So they all have like a forest, or like the first location listed tends to be the one that matches wherever you're at on the page spread. So Glimmerwood Grove is the forest. So it says forage value of 6. And then it says village value 2. Took me a while to get acquainted with that, but I think basically that's saying that if I go to the village, I can find that for forage value of 2. It's pretty straightforward if you just think of it that way, but there's no actual village page spread for reagents. So I think that's just how it's done here. So it requires a wand, but I have a wand. It will cure sleep. I can add dark water for free. Again, dark water being a reagent for or from the Hero's Hollow down here. Adds 3 points of sweet, which is why I want to do it, because that'll be worth 12 extra silver. And my familiar's ability that I got was to be able to create 1 reagent basically on demand. So I just need a value of 2 on this foraging in the village, and I got a queen. So for the first time, let's go to the village events table and resolve in a village event. Another witch is visiting the town and invites you out for lunch. What is their name? What do they talk about? How do you get on? And what is their familiar? So I'm going to go ahead and mark my time now so I don't forget. Got 8 left. This will complete my brew. I needed the 2 reagents and I wanted to add the 3rd. Got them all. So now I'll be ready to cure his cane, and then I'll have the rest of that time for the rest of the week to do some kind of other foraging to help me with Bozbata's Shattered Tooth. But who is this other witch? So I know 2 other witches. I mean, we've met 2 other witches during the playthrough, and that is Ikra and Aze. Has one of them traveled here, or is it somebody else? I'm going to say 1 through 5 is Ikra, 6 through 10 is Aze, and 11 through 20 is someone new. 14 is someone new. I don't think I've defined the genders of the witches in this setting from, my own personal world. Apothecaria leaves it completely open-ended as far as I can tell. Maybe the old witch is gendered as she. That's the wrong book. But everyone else is up to you. Actually, even the old witch is not gendered, so everything is up to you. I think that it is a more feminine activity to be a witch from Thahad Village, which is the town that I've made up as the witching village, the origin of witches in this setting, which is where Selwyn did most of her growing up, even though that's not where she was born. But it's not mandatory to be a woman. So I'm going to do a modified gender role here. I'm going to say 1 to 2 is a guy, 3 to 8 is a woman, and 9 or 10 non-binary. 6, so this will be another woman. Even if I hadn't modified it, that would have been a woman. I'll name her first. Haze again. We've got a lot of Azes, not Hazes. This one's Haze. And then 46 is it. Haze it. You know what? I'm just going to call her Hazel. This one's just going to be Hazel. But what's she doing here? I roll in the quests table? Maybe that's a bit too... let's give it a shot. Let's see what quests table gives me. Is she an adventurer witch? 87. A vicious storm sinks the party's ship during a long sea voyage. After hours of swimming, the exhausted party is captured by mermaids. Yeah, these are more like adventure prompts than quests, but we got back-to-back sea events. I wonder if this witch was on board that same boat from that note we just got. So maybe it wasn't that a bunch of the crew got sick. Maybe it was the storm. And during the storm, a lot of people were lost, which is why this... Well, no, because I had said that this person had to become a sailor and has been doing it for a while. I kind of like that story rather than if this witch has just washed up and that's why she's here in Hyranic, then that's probably somewhat recent and doesn't really give that other letter writer time to have established themselves as a sailor. Although this says like captured by mermaids and stuff, maybe Hazel was captured by mermaids. And it's been a while, so it's not a recent thing. This is the same ship. She was on that boat. I like the idea that this region is kind of separated from the rest of the world. Like when they're going out on this sea voyage through the lock, they don't know where they're going. They're explorers. So they sent soldiers, and Hazel, the explorer witch, went with them. There was a big storm, and now there's this whole sea voyage storyline going on in the background of the world. So Hazel is an explorer witch. She was looking for some adventure. She got some adventure, just not the way she expected. She got captured by mermaids. She's finally found her way back after, a yearish. Is she looking to head back to Thahad, go back home for a while, or is she kind of settling into Hyranic until she can find another ship back out onto the seas, which may not be a top priority. The people of Hyranic have already sent one ship and it didn't come back. Maybe she's the one bringing the first news. And maybe that's not good for her or the witches, because people don't 100% totally trust all the witches anyway. Obviously, they come to us because they need our help, but it's partly on the back of the reputation built by the previous witch from this position. I'm going to use the attitude table again, but this time it's going to be her attitude toward the idea of going back out on a sea adventure. A 2 is polite. So I think she's open to it. She's been asking around. She would like to, but maybe she's starting to look at her other options of how can she explore in ways that don't require other people to give her boats to ride on. You know, maybe she'll start traveling over to the east or through the swamps or up the mountain or something like that. Legend says there's even some kind of land in the sky that she might be able to go to. Maybe she's interested in that. So that is Hazel, and that completes our village event, which basically completes our week, our brew. We got all the ingredients. We can get paid. Base price is 20 silver for curing an ailment. We gain 1 reputation up to 10. 1 more and we will advance. Base price is 20 silver plus the 3 sweet added by Fizzy's Darkwater Delight. Flavoring plus 12 is 32, which puts us at an even 40. 2040. And I always forget the honey from my beehive. I can add 1 more sweet point by tracking off my last use of my beehive for spring. Should also write down, I mean, I probably won't forget, but I've got a wand now. And with my 8, I think I'm just going to say, just max it out at 6 extra time. For the rest of the week between customers, I'm going to try to do a quick speed run for reagents for Basbata's Shattered Tooth. I need 3-star pain remedies. I've got 3 of a required 6. I've been looking for vampire venom in the Hero's Hollows, which has a dungeon forge value of 10. So let's just check for 10s here. A 10. So I got 1. Mark it down to 5. 7 will not do it. A queen, that will do it. So I got 2. A king, that will also do it. Mark it down to 2, and I've got 3, which is actually all the rest of those that I needed. And I can maybe start on the teeth. Without leaving the dungeon, I can look for skeleton dust for teeth. That has a value of 5. Queen, that will get me 1. And my last time, an ace, that will not get me 1. So I'm out of time there, and I got 1 teeth. So making progress toward being able to help Basbata's Shattered Tooth. Running low on cards in the deck. Once I hit the Joker, that will be our 3rd clue. And as I said in the previous episode, that will also end spring, and then I'll play a montage. That's not from the rulebook, but that's just how I want to do it. But for now, we can play the next week. We get another customer, and they have a problem with Jack. That is another hangover. Well, 2 weeks ago, we had a guest with a hangover, and we were unable to help them. That was Prue, the 30-year-old elf who looks like they are 10. And I could do a roll or some kind of check to see if it's the same customer, but I'm just going to say it is. It's Prue again. I want a second shot. Not sure why Prue decided to come back after we failed them last time, but maybe this is a habit for them. Whenever they come getting drunk in dungeon parties, they just automatically come here. They're not used to the fact that the old witch is gone. We're the new witch, and they're just hoping for a better outcome. Where else are they going to go? They may as well recover from their hangover at our cabin than anywhere else. So they come in angry just like last time. Prue is again, 10-year-old looking elf rogue. I think they've got like short blonde hair, and they carry daggers, knives that are made of this iridescent and translucent crystal looking energy that just kind of floats. I think it emanates, some kind of magic that emanates or originates from the strange. I think Prue doesn't fit in with other elves because 30-year-old elves are considered very young and immature, and Selwyn doesn't, or rather Prue doesn't feel that that applies to them, so they've left and kind of joined in the human and other species world through the strange and things like that. But their body still kind of functions as a 10-year-old, so they can't really handle their liquor, even though they like to drink and carouse. So they just kind of don't fit in either world. But we're going to give it another shot with this hangover. This one has, unfortunately, a timer of just 4. Can I do any better? Poison and stomach. The consequence if I don't succeed, which I didn't last time, is I lose a reputation. I wonder if the wand is going to help me. I think I got the reagents, but an event kind of screwed me up. Yeah, it was like some little creature grabbed Selwyn's hat and ran off, and she had to chase it down, and it cost her 2 time. I think my best shot is just do the same thing I did before, get a crow coal and a skull cap. Although last time I'd collected the crow coal, I believe, and I forget why, but I actually have a crow coal stored. I think it was from trying to cure Prue last time, and then just I didn't get to use it. So if I want to try to sneak some sweetness in here, again, I have to cure sleep. And if I go to the Hero's Hollow, sleep's not easy to come by. I wonder if I can just use the crow coal I saved, grab a skull cap real quick with a forge value of just 2, and then run over to the village and try to get some more cat whispers. I wonder if any events in the village cost time. All right, so let's do this first. Let's try to get a skull cap. It has a dungeon value of 2. Can be crushed for poison. So 1 free travel. Timer's at 4. I just need a 2. 7 will do it. Hero's Hollow 7 event. Says the Baron, a suit of armor possessed by a malevolent poltergeist, has cornered you. You have to duel your way out. Oh no. Draw 3 cards for yourself and 4 for the Baron. If the Baron's total is higher, they score a wound on you, lose 2 forging points. If your total is higher, they congratulate you with a reagent, draw a card, and treat it as a dungeon reagent. Okay, so all I could lose is forging points, which I don't care about. But I could get a free reagent, and I'm not losing any time. All right, so I've seen the Baron before, but let's see. Actually, let's see. Draw 3 for yourself. So I got a 4, a Joker, 5. I think I have to set the Joker aside. So 9 and 10 is 19. I wonder if the Joker means we find a clue about the witch during this encounter. And then 4 cards, 1, 7, 14, 19. That's a tie. Actually doesn't say what happens in a tie. So I guess we each have to flip 1 more card. So a Jack for me and a 4 for the Baron. So I will say I won. And I'm also going to say that the Joker gets resolved during this encounter. We're going to learn something about the old witch during the encounter with the Baron. Poltergeist haunting some armor. So we'll go to the search, and we're still in spring. This is going to be our 3rd and final clue during the first steps table. And we'll flip a card for this. A 2. It says, on your way, you meet someone who had an encounter with the old witch. They reminisce, fondly or less so, about some aspects of their personality. What do they say about the witch? So it must be the Baron who is talking to us even as they duel us. Maybe their conversation is about dueling, because that's what they're doing with us. And so they're going to talk about how good or not good the previous witch was at this particular activity, which is the Baron's favorite thing to do, accosting dungeon visitors. So how good was she? I'm going to try a tarot card draw. I don't know if that's going to help. 78. Again, I don't know tarot cards, but there's a table for it, and I feel like their meanings can be pretty abstract. This is a D20. I don't actually have tarot cards. 14 is the scales. Depicts a set of golden scales, indicates the balance and nature of life. The appearance of this card shows a strong need for moderation in both work and pleasure. So it's kind of a boring answer, but I'm going to say that the witch did practice dueling, but she also wasn't like the best at it. Again, moderation, as with the scales, I suppose. So she practiced some as much as she was practicing other things, especially her herbology. But that didn't make her the best duelist by any stretch of the imagination. Again, she would be somewhere in the middling category of duelists. Just probably better than we are, because we just kind of got lucky at the end. We lost last time, but we learned a little bit and then got lucky there at the end to best the Baron this time, which means, oh, actually he gives us a reagent, a 5. So is there a 5? There wasn't a 3. There are 2 5s to choose from, the skeleton dust or old blood. The skeleton dust can be used for teeth. So I'm just going to say that I get some skeleton dust, and I'm going to directly assign it to my Bozbata's shattered tooth tracker here. Got another teeth reagent for the creature of the lock. Now the question is, I got the skull cap. We'll mark down 1 time. Do I just go ahead and say I'm going to use this crow coal, which means I don't have to look for any more, count down the timer to 2 to travel to the village, and then get my last reagent, the whiskers, almost certainly Although I should reshuffle now because I flipped a joker. But I should almost certainly get an higher than an ace, right? Because an ace would be a 1. Even if I get a single ace, as long as the event doesn't screw me over, I should be able to successfully get it and then save this croak hole for a rainy day. How much am I pushing my luck here? I don't want to fail Prue again. I get super mad at me. I think I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to use this croak hole, which means I can head straight to the village and look for the Whispers of a Cat. A jack should do it. Just needed a 2. Now Jack says, you visit the Lunar Tower, the great moon tracking device. You've managed to time it just right to get the best magical power from it. While inside, bathed in the light coming through the stained mage glass, you have the chance to attune your equipment. The next time you go foraging, start with 6 foraging points. All right. And because I was able to get Whispers of the Cat, I can also add dark water from Fizzy, which means I'm making a delicious dark water delight, which means it is 3 points of sweet. Prue will pay for the extra sweetness instead of 20, 32 again. I'm out of honey from my hive, so no extra 4 that I'm forgetting there. So I'll add 52, take away 20, and then take away 5 to add a 5. Up to 76 already. So that was my third clue from Spring, from the first step search table. And I guess I should say Prue, this time they're happy they got their remedy and they go home less grumpy this time. Maybe we even get a thank you from them. And again, my house rule, I kind of just said, once I get 3 clues from here, I'm going to end the season and montage through the rest of the season. So how do I want to do this? Actually, I do have 2 time left to try to find stuff for this. No, I should just have 1. Find 1 reagent, travel, find a second reagent. Leaves 1. Although it would reset to 6. I just give myself 6 for post remedy finishing out the week. So 6 time to deal with this before we montage the rest of spring. The best place to get a teeth cure is actually the Milkstone and the Moonbreaker Mountain. It's a forge value of just 1, but I can only get it since I have a wand, but I do have a wand now, so just a simple 1. So I should just get it automatically. I should just get the rest of my teeth pretty easily with that 6 time. I just need 4 more of those. What about for infection? All right, maybe let's look for the infection first. Liquid Fire can do it in Heroes Hollow, so I'll travel once for free. And then we're looking for 6s, but I have a forge value of 6, so I'll find 1. And then flip for the next one. A 2 will fail. A 9 will succeed, so I have 2. A 5 will fail. An 8 will succeed, and a 4 will fail. And I'm out of time for this week, and I got 2 infection herbs. All right, so now for the montage. I'm just kind of going to skip ahead a lot. Oh, actually, I should get a reputation as well. So I actually hit 11, upgrading me from novice to intermediate. So just in time before we cut to montage. Kind of cool we got to do it on screen rather than doing it over the montage, because I am going to give myself stuff as if we played out the rest of the season. They're supposed to be 13 weeks, and I've played, I think that was 8. So I'm skipping 5 weeks, but I want to still get 5 weeks of progress. So I started at 5 reputation, and now I'm at 11, which means I've gained 6 in 8 weeks, which means in 5 more weeks, maybe I get 4? And you can't really do that. Can't really do 4. In 5 weeks, you get 5 reputation, or you get 3, or you can get 1, or you can get negatives. Because every time you either succeed or you fail. If you succeed, you get 1. If you fail, you lose 1. No, I guess not all of them make you lose 1 if you fail. So you could just fail without losing anything. So now I'm in an intermediate, which I haven't looked at yet. But yeah, it's still, oh, this one makes you lose 2 sometimes. So it could be all kinds of different outcomes. I'm trying to design a system here. All right, here's the thing. I think it's likely that I succeed on most, if not all of these. So I'm going to roll a d20, and I'm only even going to think about it if I roll like 1 to 5. I rolled a 1. Wow. Okay, so we critically failed the rest of spring. So instead of gaining 5 reputation, which would be like the default, if we just succeeded 5 times, I'm going to roll a d10 and subtract 5. And that's how much reputation I gain or lose. I rolled a critical failure. So on a 10, I actually will still gain 5. But every other result will be less than that. A 9 is still a +4. So we recovered a bit from that critical failure, which means I'm up to 15, and this system is not a great way to track that anymore. Well, if I gained 4 reputation, I probably succeeded 4 times, which means I got paid 4 times. And at intermediate level, I get paid 30. So 4 times 30 is 120. So the question is, was I able to get some extra sweet points? Because I could get like 12 each time with Fizzy times 4 is 48 more. But I'm not going to just assume I succeeded all 4 times. I'm going to roll a D100 and divide by 2. So 48, I'm rounding up to 50, but then I'm going to divide it by 2. Got a 91, so I'm going to get 45 extra. So I got almost the maximum. I got some lucky rolls here for my little montage. Just cheating up a storm over here. So 120 plus 45 is 150, 65. And exchange 20 for 20. And sure, 250s for 100 here. We're up to 241. I'm also skipping over a lot of events, but I'm not going to try to even resolve those. We're just going to say that all that happened off screen. Again, montage, nothing hugely important happens, which is why the montage occurred for storytelling purposes. $241. I can buy a broom and be able to fly to the Cloud Isles. I can buy a coracle to be able to go to the Blastfire Bog. I'm tempted to spend some money, but I think I'm going to save it. I was thinking about getting a garden plot that lets me grow any plant with forage value 8 or lower, but there's some more powerful, more expensive things that let you get a lot more free reagents. So I'm going to save up for now. I need like 500. I've got 240. So I'm not too far off if I, play some weeks, get a bunch of money. I might want to be able to go to the Cloud Isles and or Blastfire Bog, though. There's also the sickle. I haven't really used foraging points that much. For 50 silver, foraging points increase by 2 instead of 1 every time I miss, which could be useful. We'll see. I haven't felt like foraging was that relevant. Either you get it or you don't. But for only 50 silver, we'll see how that plays out. But for now, I'm not going to spend any money. But I am going to go to the festival. At the end of each season, every 13 weeks, there's a celebration in the village. During the celebration, you will have no patience or timer. Instead, answer as many of the prompts as you like. You may also make up your own events during celebrations. Feel free to follow your muse. So, well, let's just see. I'm not actually writing out journal entries to these prompts, but let's just see what it says. A celebration. This is the Flower Festival, a celebration of life. Returning to Hyranic, the Flower Festival is characterized by bright colors, dancing, the giving of flowers, and a general excuse to clean out all of last year's tat in a big open-air market. Do you go to the Flower Festival dance? Who do you go with? Did you ask them or did they ask you? What happens? Put a pin in that. People are selling all manner of things at the market. Does anything catch your attention? Put a pin in that. The baking contest, as usual, attracts fierce competition and, as usual, someone gets hurt. Whose fault was it? Was it serious? You may take part in the baking contest. Deal yourself 2 cards. Deal 3 face down for your competitors. The winner is whoever gets closest to 21 without going over. Like blackjack, you may draw another card or stay where you are. Once you stay, flip over your competitors' cards and see who wins. If you win, you're awarded a year's supply of sun sugar, which can be added to any potion to give it 3 sweet points. So I don't think Selwyn is going to ask anybody to go. Does anyone ask her to go? We haven't met any eligible bachelors or bachelorettes, I don't think, and I don't really want to do romance necessarily, so nothing's jumping out at me, so I'm just going to say no. Does she go to the dance? I mean, does she want to dance? Sometimes it's not about the date. Sometimes it's just about the dancing. Let's say above 50% on this is she wants to go. 18, no, she doesn't really want to dance anyway. Does anything catch her attention at the market? I'm going to roll for a knick-knack on the knickknacks table and then just decide if she wants it or not. Oh, this is also a D100 table, my favorite kind. 49 says it is a sheet of white paper covered in neat rows of thumbprints. That is super weird. Why is this for sale? Maybe there are thumbprints of people who someone might care about, kind of like an autograph book. So this is an autograph book of thumbprints of people some people would care about. Is it someone Selwyn cares about? I'm just going to say these are the thumbprints of like the founders of the city, and this has been a well-preserved parchment, in some kind of frame or casing that has held it for hundreds of years. Maybe there were a few dozen of these made. This one is particularly damaged, which is why it's kind of for sale in the marketplace instead of on some rich person's wall. And I don't think Selwyn cares about it, but we get a little bit of lore that, you know, there are some important people who founded the city, and people apparently care about thumbprints here. And last question, the baking contest. Yeah, let's enter the baking contest. So 2 for us. We get 17 and 3 for our competitor. I mean, you don't take another card at 17, do you? I'm gonna say no. I don't know blackjack, but they got 26. So we won the contest. A year supply of sun sugar for 3 sweet points? Wow. Sun sugar. Year supply. A year supply times 13 times 12, which is 156. I mean, we basically got enough for the rest of my entire campaign. 3 sweet per use. Wow, that's 12 silver per brew that we concoct. So who got injured? I think it is a competitor who got themselves into a tizzy because of Selwyn's participation and doing well. They caused a ruckus and ended up getting themselves injured. Let's see what this person's occupation was. 3 is a shop worker. So maybe this is a shop worker. I mean, baker is a separate option on this list. Oh, no, it's not. That says banker. So shop worker, yeah, maybe it is a bakery shop, and this person wins every year. Let's see what kind of clothes they wear. 6 is traveling clothing. So maybe they travel and sell baked goods, and they've traveled all the way back here for the annual spring bakery contest that they always win. Do our gender roll. This is a man, and for some reason there's no chart for random mishaps at a spring festival. Well, there is a festival generator. I mean, we already know what the festival is. So let's roll on the city events table and see if that could be a reason that this guy causes a fracas and gets injured. 8 is a child attempts to lure the party into an alley. So this guy gets his son maybe, or some random peasant child to maybe tosses a coin to him and tries to get him to lure Selwyn into the alley because maybe he's seen what she's baking. Ooh, you know what? We are cooking with Fizzy's dark water. So this is gonna be especially sweet pastry that we're baking as well. He sees that we're onto something and wants to mess with us, so he gets the kid to try to lure us away so he can sabotage our mix that we're stirring up. Selwyn's stirring up. But when he tries to sneak in, he just like trips on something and maybe like falls in the oven, causes a huge clatter. Everybody sees that he tried to sneak in and mess with our stuff. Of course, we turn around and realize what's happened, and Selwyn comes back. She gets to resume her baking effectively uninterrupted. And not only did he injure himself maybe on the oven, or yeah, probably on the oven, but now he is banned from participating ever again, which is a big deal because he's traveled here every year and he keeps winning, and now people are questioning his wins and all of that. Let's give him a name real quick. 66 is our. 4 means we roll again. 91 is tie. 3 plus 1 means we roll again. 4 plus 2 means we're done. And 65 is now. Our tie now. Maybe that's the name of his like brand. Maybe he's called Artie, and his traveling bakery caravan is called Artie Now. He's like a food truck for the region. Artie Now. Artie now has a bad reputation. The maligned food truck baker. There's an exclamation point in his title. Artie Now. And I think that will wrap up spring. It means next time we can do week 1 of summer, and any jokers we find will be on the second The Search table, which instead of first steps will be about the witch. So we learn what happened to her. So tune in for that next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and bye.